Hello and welcome to the Echo Chamber podcast. My name is Tony Groves and today we're podcasting from the heart of Dublin city centre. As always, I'm joined by my co-host and judge on the new season of RT's The Voice, Martin,
Yeah, as long as the voice isn't too bad.
More importantly, we're delighted to be joined by a young man who needs no introduction, but we're going to give him one anyway. This man is perhaps the most famous cinema goer in the world. He's experienced more in his last 5 years than most will or want to in their life, and while he's lost some of his youth, based on his work with human rights organisations and homelessness charities, he's lost none of his humanity. I'm delighted to be joined by Ibrahim Halawa. Ibrahim, it's brilliant to sit down and meet you finally.
Thank you so much, Tony. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Martin.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you, and just want to let everybody know you've just turned 22 years of age. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
Did you do anything special?
No, my family pulled us. They tricked me into saying, "Oh, we're not going to have anything for the day, and everyone's busy." And then I went home and they had a surprise party.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, it was very beautiful.
I'm going to kick us off because I'm going to ask you something that bothered me greatly. Been away for 4 years, and Dublin won 3 All-Irelands, and you missed all that.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised. It was like, "What? This is my luck!" Like, you know.
But you're back in time for 5 in a row.
Yeah. Hopefully, I'm around for that.
I think the drive for 5 is on now, but I know that would bother me more than most things.
Yeah, I was like, wow, when did Ireland go straight up into football?
Yeah,
it was crazy. Yeah.
But
you did miss it, fair. Like you missed Trump being elected.
Yeah, I miss a lot of things. I miss Trump being elected. I missed the new Taoiseach. I missed a lot of things that were going on. And I missed a lot of the donut shops opening around town.
Yeah, we really have gone donut shop crazy. Yeah.
Did you see a big difference in Dublin when you came back?
There has been, not in town, but there's a lot of buildings more gone up. There's a lot of houses more gone up. But the more houses are gone up, the more homeless people are on the street. I don't get it.
And you're working with homeless people and homeless causes now at the moment.
Yeah, there's an organisation I work with, and there's another organisation I work with at the moment.
And how are you finding that?
It's pretty helpful, because when I was in need of help, anyone that's in need of help wants another human being to stop for them and just be like, "Hi, I'm here to help you," as simple as. So just to be there for the homeless and say, "Hi, I'm there to help you today," and this is from one human to another human, I think it means a lot to them. People don't realise the value of it until...
But it's just, that blows my mind, and I know it probably shouldn't, but it does, because if it had been me, and I'd come back from your experience, I'd have probably disappeared to Connemara for a few months and hidden somewhere in the Burren, and there I was looking, and there he was outside the GPO with a bucket, shaking it, looking for change for
we've discussed this. We think, because you're a young guy, you're 22 years of age, and we were just saying when I was 22, I was around the corner in Temple Bar 7 nights a week. You're a young guy and you come back to an awful lot of responsibility. I mean, that's a big thing to step up to, and you've stepped up quite well to it.
It is hard, I won't lie, because I got a lot of hate. Or a lot of people were hating, people were differing opinions, but to differ opinion, that's alright, but the hate is another total level. But I, like you said you were 22 and you were in a pub. Imagine being in prison at 17, never mind 22.
Yeah.
So I was in prison at 17 years old. I was a minor by Egyptian law and by any international law. And I just felt that I learned a lot, and to not use that experience into helping other people would just be gone to waste. And that's my mentality. I always like to take experience. I always like to take on challenges. Since as a little kid, I always like to try new things. I like to do the jumping off the exactly.
We were just talking. You went to school out the south side.
Exactly. So it was pretty cool. There was a lot of experiences there. So when I went to prison, it was hard, but it was a lot of experience to take in, and I wanted to take it in as something that I will benefit with in life. People went to college for 4 years. I consider it as going to college for 4 years as well, learning a lot of stuff to come out on the other side and help people with.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's very admirable. Yeah. But when you mentioned the hate and we've been chatting on online backwards and forwards, but I only have to Google your name and see that under data protection laws they've had to remove articles that were hate-filled rags, and I just get it makes my blood boil. I can only imagine how that affected your sisters, your family while you were actually on hunger strike, for example, or something like that. I know you're probably sheltered from that while you're in prison to a large degree, but that was outrageous.
See, it was very disappointing because I never saw that side of people in Ireland, and I think it grew a lot with a lot of political interference as well. It just grew that side. So the hate I was getting wasn't only just for me as Ibrahim Halawa, it was just for purely being Muslim, and, you know, for believing in a religion, which is absurd, of course, because, you know, it was so diverse in Ireland to believe in anything you want, to do anything you want, practice anything you want without causing any problem to anyone. But effectively, when I came home, it was so hard to see that side, because I was like, okay, I've been through a lot. The people not see that I've been through a lot. For them to at least, you know, give me open arms and tell me everything will be fine, and hug me and tell me it's all going to be okay and it's all over now. But, you know, after I went through that experience and I had to come home, I think I've been through a harder experience to come back and say that, oh, yeah, it's pretty, you know, it's pretty tough in Ireland. It is for me to get a lot of that. I ignore it, as you maybe see my Twitter, some of it. I make jokes about it.
I thought it was class getting on the plane.
I won't go to the cinema.
He promised not to go to the cinema, folks. It was a brilliant moment. But like, and again, you're right. You have to rise above it. You have to have some. Keep your humour. Keep your sense of humour. But it like. I know, even like if we ventured and dipped our toes into defending people and saying you can't judge someone just purely on their religion, the trolls would just.
Well, we discussed this, and we've discussed not just here and not just about you. We discussed. Sometimes we talk about things, me and Tony, and we feel that exactly racism in Ireland has increased, but we also think that the one party that's keeping a lid on it and doesn't tolerate it is Sinn Féin. I think without Sinn Féin, this would be as bad as Tory Britain here. But I think Sinn Féin are keeping a lid on the worst excesses that would come through, because they simply don't tolerate it.
I think there is a political element where it's not tolerated in certain elements. Now we have seen elements of the far right where there has been actually xenophobia, Islamophobia, and it's blatant. The arguments are always the same. It's the same nonsense, and it usually just boils down to that they don't like brown people at heart. But like when we talk about giving credit, I know you've had people visit you. You had Lynn Boylan go over.
Yeah, exactly. Lynn Boylan, Irish delegation from the Parliament. It was unbelievable to get that, you know, support the Speaker, of course, of the Irish Parliament. So it was. Just to get that in prison meant a lot, because, you know, there's people backing you up, even if it was after a long time. It took a lot of time to get there, but a lot of hard work from my family, you know, a lot of pressure from the good side of the Irish people, the amazing Irish people who really helped me a lot, you know, European Parliament, a lot of that, like, you know, people were just in there to help for a humanitarian cause, which really meant a lot to me. But, you know, like you said, it's hard to come back and find that, you know, that side grew a bit, because, like, I had one of my friends who wrote an article about her. She used to wear the headscarf, and she was walking in the street and someone pulled off her headscarf, and she just felt that she couldn't walk in the streets anymore. She wasn't
Was that in Dublin?
Yeah, it was in Dublin. You'll find it in the University Times. It's an article from a student she actually wrote it, and it's just crazy, because I know that if it was like the other way around, if someone pulled the nun's headscarf off,
God, the big murder.
Yeah, exactly. You know, everyone would be like, oh, look at Islam, the terrorism, religion. So I think we need to shed a light on that as well, as much as, you know.
And your sisters they've done a huge amount of work as well, not just you, but they have done a huge amount.
They've done tirelessly, standing for the Dáil, protesting, a lot of that, contacting parliaments, TDs,
embassies.
Yeah,
no, your
traveling abroad.
Your sisters
they
are
didn't
tireless.
rest for 4 years.
Like I was telling my mum last night that we were going to be talking to you today, and she said, I don't know how I'd cope. And she said, I don't know. And she thought your family were great, and she thought the support from your family was great.
It was crazy. I couldn't believe that that as well comes out of my family, because hardships do teach you a lot of stuff, and they bring out of you the stuff that you didn't know you had. So it brought out my family, the voice and the support, and it was just.
And you're still living with your family, like
yes,
you're a tight family, you're a close group, which is, you know, that's
it's crazy, and like, you know, it was very hard for my family to get, you know, saying a lot of people, oh, we're not Irish, and people need to understand, no, there is a new diverse of Irish, there's a new face of Irish people. My nephews are born here, my nieces are born here, they're going to get married, they're going to get kids here, and they're going to live here for the rest of their life, so they need to understand that there's people that are going to live here without getting hate. and they don't need that in any point of their life.
There's a group of people who are 40 years behind pretty much everybody else.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're stuck 40 years behind. I mean, I have cousins who are Native American Indians.
Exactly.
My family is very diverse, all different religions, all different colours. We're used to it, and we've always been used to
And
it.
a lot of people as well say, "Oh, he's Irish. What brought him to Egypt to protest?" It's like democracy wasn't only made for Ireland. It was made for around the world. And there's a human line that if people need help, I will stand on that line with them to help them, because it's the sake of human to human, like I said before. And in Egypt that was the case. I didn't go especially for protest, and I went there, to visit my extended family.
Again, we were just saying this. Anybody could end up in jail in Kusadasi.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. So we're like, there's a lot of tourists in Dublin. So if there was a repeal of the 8th or something protest going on, and someone said, "Oh, please join us," and then that person from a foreign part of the country was arrested, I think the Irish people would be going mental that someone was arrested for just supporting the Irish people. So I think it's just the other way around. People don't see it that.
Well, the other thing that was very difficult to accept with the whole Egyptian scenario is that you said democracy should be more global, but it's the one thing that Western cultures don't really export is democracy, because it doesn't suit quite often in certain places, and there was one democratic election in Egypt, and then and when it didn't get the result that they wanted, they had a coup. And so, like it or lump it, that was the result. And the West weren't happy, the Americans weren't happy, and then a certain category of Egyptian culture wasn't happy, and they overthrew. And now, in revisionist history, people forget that. They forget that there was actually a coup, that there was anti-democratic, which really had the support of the West. And if the West didn't support it, they turned and looked the other way.
They shed a blind eye on it.
And that's what happened. Now, it's like the people who say, and I am not going to come out and say I'm supporting certain aspects of different things that happen. Absolutely not. But what I won't have is people telling me that, they had a democratic vote and then they voted wrong. Well, that's democracy,
exactly,
And if you think it's not that, well, then you don't believe in democracy.
The problem is people don't see the side that I always say, "Oh, it's okay that if you don't agree with who the people voted." I said, "Okay, use the ballot box to get rid of him." Simple as you got him with the box, get rid of him with the box. You don't kill people, and I don't think military should be in charge of any country. Like look at Korea, how it's gone when the military is in charge of it. So,
do you want to tell me the interesting thing about Korea?
We look to see where most of our downloads come from, and Ireland's first, then England, and joint third, America and North Korea.
Wow.
That has to be the bots, man.
They have internet. I don't know.
Unless Little Rocket Man.
For an invite, we'll get over to do a blog.
Well, I wish you luck, man. I'll be protesting for you for here.
Yeah, you're looking for our freedom. Please do.
Don't worry, I got your back.
We might as well start a Free Tony and Martin campaign now.
Exactly.
Well, it could happen here as well. But moving it along, let's draw a line under the past. You're now doing a lot of stuff at the moment. Tell us some of the stuff you're doing.
I'm actually I'm writing my book currently because I want to publish it, just to put it on the shelf and answer a lot of questions, tell my story, and people who want to be ask what happened exactly, I'll just say go back to the book.
You'll have to come back to us when you do. We get a few writers, novices in, and we help them. Like we had Garvin Grant and we had Mick Clifford. They've both written books, so we gave them that plug to push them up the charts. So.
Or more, they gave us their plug, but that's different.
So when you write, come back.
Yeah, definitely. I will. So I'm writing a book. I'm studying currently at the moment international management, but that's just a part-time thing. I'm helping a lot of homeless people as well.
You're speaking this weekend in UCD as well.
I'm speaking in UCD. I was in Germany speaking. I was speaking in Trinity. I'm speaking in Dún Laoghaire Institute. I'm speaking in Maynooth. I'm speaking in Galway. I'm speaking in UCD, and I'm speaking in London. I'm taking part in the play.
Holy
there's a lot. There's a lot going on. Limerick, hopefully. I'm going around a lot of universities. And believe it or not, I'm thinking of picking up. This is the first time I'm saying it. Like no one has even heard this, but I want to pick up singing, to be honest, for humanitarian causes, because I think a lot of people listen to music.
I picked up on that when you looked for a lyricist online.
Yeah, exactly.
Day.
So that's why exactly. Well, now you know.
Did you get a lyricist?
Yeah, I got one, and I think I'll work.
Brilliant. It's so admirable where that you're. I mean, to be so busy, it makes every time we meet people, we're continuously surprised at how much we've wasted our lives.
We still have a long way to go.
But no, look, I know tomorrow you're speaking with Colin O'Gorman and is it Lynn Boylan?
Lynn Boylan, that's the one that's going to be in New City. Hopefully, it's with an organisation called Together Against Depression. It's going to be a lot different. I'm not going to be speaking about my experience. This one's definitely going to be different than all the other talks I'm going to. So that's why I'm always telling people to go to this one, because I'm going to be doing something different. There's a lot of stuff that are going to be presented that people don't know about. So yeah.
That sounds really cool. Yeah. That really sounds. You like moving forward. You don't want to dwell in the past.
I know. It has shaped me to a better person who I am today. It made me understand the world a lot. Read a lot about the depth of politics. Understand the world when you understand politics. Understand the humanitarian causes that are actually working for humanitarian causes, and the humanitarian organizations that are working for political causes. You get to understand a lot of that when you're incarcerated in falsely.
And it's brilliant that, because that's geopolitics playing out there, and you were actually a pawn. You were a pawn. Like you're sitting here in flesh and blood, but you were actually you were a pawn, and that's that realization must have been a hard thing to swallow, especially when you're going through that personally. It's a great credit to you. The only thing that I would say is the campaigns that you're involved with now, and it's to your great credit that you're doing it. But building out of that, where do you see yourself? Is it in international management? Is it in those kind of?
No, to be like a lot of people are telling me to get into politics and be the voice of a lot of people in Ireland. I don't think that's my route right now, because I don't think actually working in politics you need a certain stuff. I don't want to go deep into it, but a lot of people understand what you need to be a politician, and I don't want to.
What you don't need.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of sides to it, but who knows? Who knows where the world will end? I was planning on going on the holiday. I ended up in prison. It changed my life. So I don't know. I'm not planning. I'm planning day by day. So
what do you do for downtime? What would you like? I'm not going to say would you go on holidays for downtime, but what do you do for downtime?
Currently, I haven't had a week rest since I've been back, and I want to do that.
We've noticed that.
Yeah, I haven't. So I want to take my family somewhere warm, somewhere nice where they won't get arrested again. Yeah. So
Dingle is nice.
Yeah,
but it's not warm.
Well, the welcome is warm in Dingle.
That's true. But at the moment, I'm just taking it easy day by day. I want to write my book, like I said. Take that. I think.
Have you started?
I've started in prison. I've written most of it in prison.
Okay, and so you're on second edit?
No, I'm still on first edit because there was a lot of papers that were confiscated off me. There was a lot of stuff that were taken away from me, so I still need to gather a lot of information as well. Yeah. T. Lawrence's The Pillars of Wisdom, which Lawrence of Arabia was based out of.
Yes.
Do you know when he wrote that? That book is 1,200 pages long, and he wrote it, and he got on the train, and he left it on the train, and he had to rewrite the entire book again because there was no other.
Yeah, that is bad.
Well, something that always gets on my nerves is when people tell you, what an Irish person is, or what an Irish person, or who's Irish, as if culture doesn't evolve, as if there's not, as if we all, just because we used to believe in the Druids or things like that, that makes us more Irish.
And you're dead right, and we see this thing all the time. These people with a little flag, tricolour and Irish culture, or Ireland for the Irish, blah blah. I mean, I grew up out in Swords in North County Dublin, and I haven't seen this guy in years, but one of my pals out there in primary school was a guy called Craic, and Craic got an awful lot of flack when we were kids, an awful lot of, and people were much more brazen and bold about it back then. But then I was listening to the Jobstown trials that were on, and I heard the name of the barrister who was acting for some of the people on the Jobstown side, and it was only Corrida. And I was like, hadn't heard from the guy in 30 years, and I was like, isn't that great? Isn't it just bloody brilliant? Because he put up with so much flack, and there he is, he's pivotal. He's in there and he's doing such a good job, and he's such a great barrister. He's fabulous. Hey, Corrida, delighted that you were doing that. Really nice. So it's nice to see that diversity, and the diversity works.
Yeah, it's true. It does. Like a lot of people on Twitter were like, if you get a mouse and put him in a horse stable, that doesn't make him a horse. It's like that's crazy. That just shows how stupid he is. Because if you get a human and put him in another environment, he will adapt to that environment. Whether it's a rich environment, whether it's a criminal environment, whether it's a bad environment, whether it's a good environment. We humans adapt to new environments. So when a lot of people immigrated to Ireland, they had kids here. Those kids adapted to the Irish environment, Irish people, Irish culture. They became Irish. If you bring those people back to their country, they wouldn't feel as home as they feel when they're here. When I was in Egypt, I didn't feel like I was home. I was always looking forward to go home. When I'm ever on my summer holidays there, I'm always looking forward to coming back here to my home because I was raised and born here, and that's how it is. And people need to accept that.
Oh, it's not if they need to accept it. That's the reality. So to hell whether they accept it or not. That's the truth. Like it's that moment where they say, that people are that ethno-nationalist nonsense that we put up with all the time. There's no truth to that. There's no truth to any of it. Like my name is Groves. It's an English name. They came to and they lived in the Pale. That doesn't make me. I'm not less Irish, but that's just the diversity, and it's global now at this stage. Whereby,
but that diversity was always in Ireland. My great granddad is from Suffolk.
Like today in college as well, I had a lot of students with me that were in international management that were all American but had Irish heritage. But when they were speaking, a lot of them were like, I am originally Irish, or I'm Irish, and I am also American. But if they were raised in America, they were born there, they lived there their whole life. If you told them you're not American, they'd be like, sorry, what are you talking about? I am American.
I remember about a year ago or so when there was a terrorist attack in London, and Sky News decided that they were going to have one of these panel debates, and they had a lady on with the headscarf on, and one of the people on the panel thought it'd be great to say to her, well, do you identify as Muslim or do you identify as British? And I just thought, oh my God.
It's like there's no such thing as Muslim and British. It's two different things. You're a Muslim British.
No, she's a woman first.
Yeah, exactly. She is a woman.
She's a human.
Yeah, exactly.
And we can go up through that, and it doesn't matter. I just couldn't believe.
Because people always say that. People will say you either are a Muslim, and we get this a lot. Like you're a Muslim, you either are a Muslim or you're either Irish. Being Irish is one thing, and being Muslim is another. It's a religion, it's a belief. Being Irish
the two of us are atheists. So
exactly. So it's people will ask you, are you atheist or are you Irish? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, it actually makes more sense that way.
A lot of people will.
But there's got to be so much to be said about that ridiculous nonsense of putting these labels on people, and you said it earlier, said it when we started. You can believe what you want, as long as there's no incitement to hatred, as long as you're doing right, human to human, I think is how you put it. Then we're on the right path here, folks.
So since you came back into this country, you're finished with Turkey. That's it. You're never ever going back. I mean, I decided that after a fortnight in Kusadasi.
No more of that. Exactly.
But when I'm at home with the little one and we're watching TV, and the prize comes up. Prize 2 weeks of Kusadasi. We say that's not a prize; it's punishment.
Exactly. People don't understand.
We don't want to win that prize.
Yeah.
So. The rest of the world, like you said, you were travelling to Germany, you travelled...
Switzerland, UN,
You have no problem travelling anywhere else in the world.
I was proven innocent with, people, I was proven innocent by judicial Egyptian system, which is already corrupt. They just, after 4 years telling you you're released, you're innocent, we have nothing against you. In 4 years, we couldn't have enough evidence to gather. Gathering evidence in 4 years is a lot of time to gather evidence. And then at the end of the day, they were like, you're free to go. I had 50 people who were acquitted, but there's a lot of innocent people who were charged with no evidence as well in Egypt that I don't forget anywhere I go and anywhere I talk about. But you know, that just I'm not going to go back there because Egypt isn't guaranteed that they won't arrest me again. You know, they'll just be like, oh, you've been speaking too much about politics outside about Egypt, come back again into prison. It's not guaranteed, and I won't take a stupid decision like that. But I've been traveling around the world. The countries are letting me in because they know that whatever I was true was political, it was absurd. Third world countries do that, you know, even, you know, first world countries, some do that when it's political.
We had it here in Irish history, we had people locked up in English jails who were innocent as well.
Exactly.
It happens in other countries. You don't need to look at where Edward Snowden is sitting, and you don't have to look where Julian Assange. Whether you believe in all of these people as individuals is not important. It's if they're not allowed to get their message out there because they're being detained.
Exactly.
You know, but again, you weren't trying to really. You know, you were only a kid.
I was a kid. Yeah, but you know, there is that human factor in us that moves when you see another human being killed, being subjected to torture. If you've seen another, like a lady or a man beaten at the side of the street, obviously as a human being you're going to help them. And never mind when they're actually people you know and people that are close to you. So when my friends were killed for democracy and for giving, you know, freedom of speech, I'm obviously going to stand for my friends. You know, it's not illegal, and I did nothing illegal by Egyptian law.
Well, that was proven. So,
exactly.
And that's a big thing to remember, is that you are not guilty of anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's lost an awful lot over here on those who shout a lot.
Well, it's lost in the court of public opinion to some people because they form an idea and they decide something, and then that breeds conspiracy and it breeds all sorts of bloody nonsense, you know. And but sadly, we have to deal with that. But I think it's great that we're able to have this conversation, because what you do then is you drag it out into the light and you expose it for, well, that's not true. It's fake, and if you can expose it, then literally what we have then is we can all move on and actually tackle it. But because I happen to be more hopeful, I think we can tackle these things. I think there's a diversity of people that are needed, and you know, your voice is very welcome, especially given your experience.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
Now I'm going to ask you a stupid question. When you first got back to Ireland, what was the first food you wanted? Because I know if I was locked up.
I was actually, you know that smell of chipper when you walk in? I was actually craving that in prison. So when I was back, I was like, I need to go to a chipper. I don't care. But I ate so much, I can't remember what I ate when I was back straight away. But you know, I was eating all types of food, and people were throwing food at me. People were taking me out to restaurants. I think
the smell of the chipper. I mean,
I did. I went to chipper, and I was just like,
that smell of fish and chips with
the vinegar.
It's so Dublin.
It is. It's so beautiful.
Try
saying that now and saying that's not very Irish, lads.
Exactly.
I like the chips on the way home.
Get some of that.
They call it taking the rail home around my way, because that means you're just bumping against the railings after.
Exactly.
I know you said about politics, and I know you've actually revealed about singing, but you know what is more important is that you keep getting out there and that opportunities to actually keep speaking to people. Your sisters deserve great credit, and I think it's important to say that, because, you know, even when we were looking on social media and on Twitter and all the rest of it, they were constantly voices. The other side of it, though, is trying to get and I'm cognizant of the moment that Maurice McCabe's tribunal is going on at the moment, and obviously you were away for large parts of what was actually happening there. But Maurice McCabe, we spoke to Mick Clifford, and Mick confirmed that one of the problems Maurice was having was politicians asking for his phone number just so they could ring him and stand up and say, well, I spoke to Maurice McCabe, just to get a bit of kudos. Do you find that you're getting much of that, where people are saying, listen, give you a shout just to say hello, and then all of a sudden...
Apart from us two.
A lot of people, I try to reply to most of the people. I try to connect with that human connection with a lot of people who message me on Facebook. I can't get through to all of them, but I really promise that I will get through to all of them. A lot of people stop me on the streets for selfies and welcome home, which is very heartwarming, because, you know, I always complain as much as I complain about the negative comments. I always love praising the people who stop me and say welcome home and can we have a picture with you, and it means a lot to me. And you know, if people ask for my number, I give it to them as long as I feel it's safe. It's safe to ring me.
But that's normal. I wouldn't give it to Martin.
I have to say, actually, I spotted you for a second. I saw you and I had just spotted you outside. And you are very recognisable.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think
I'm brown.
No. Did you ever the expression a fly in a pint of milk?
Yeah, exactly.
Unconscious.
A lot of people are going to interpret that now.
But I always find that funny because it was in Michael Orr,
Yeah.
you know Michael Orr, the NFL player who was adopted by a white family, and they also it's like a fly in a pint of milk.
But I think it would work great for a music career.
Yeah, I think people will be surprised.
Gonna go outfits, platforms.
No,
I'm picking first of all cases. I really want to do. My first one is going to be about how I came home after such a struggle with such people supporting me. A lot of that I'll cover a nice side of that, and then cover about the struggle I went through with the comments that I didn't know were going to be there.
Yeah.
And how I actually got affected by that and how I went through it.
that has to be very hard.
We could be sitting beside the next panel.
No, I think you're. Look, the listeners don't even know. Ibrahim came straight from a Palestinian protest.
right
so
now,
he's come. So there's always a gap. Some of the best things that are done in protest are protest songs. There is, and like you think of the likes of Dylan and the guys who've done things like that. They're what's remembered. It's the actual ones where a song.
I say go for the money. I say go for the lifestyle. Go for the money.
I'll get more hate now. Like he's using our money, taxes.
Coming over here, stealing our songs.
Yeah, but do you know how much that bothers Bono? That much.
Yeah.
Martin made a zero sign just for the listeners.
Oh, you're a terrible person. Oh yeah, it's shocking. Here's money.
But
that's crazy. It's I'll do it in the Irish accent. Because a lot of people were like, after the Late Late Show, they were like, he doesn't have the Irish accent. He's not Irish. I was like, I can speak with the Irish accent. I'll turn Irish for you now and start speaking around, and no one will talk about anything.
No. And being Northsiders, you do have an Irish accent.
Exactly.
It's just a nice South County Dublin
exactly.
Irish
You
accent.
have to just cover it a bit when you're speaking to other people. Yeah.
But I find that was a window into an ugly part of the Irish psyche when you went on the Late Late Show, because there was ridiculous comments.
I said that night, and you actually favoured it at that night. I said, it's yours, racists. I'm fucking out of here for the night. I'm not even looking. I'm off Twitter. I'm not bothering. You actually saw that. And
I did.
And I just said, no, I'm not even bothered. Well, let them have it. Let them have it for the night. And just don't listen to them.
Yeah, I didn't listen to them, to be honest. After the Late Late Show, I went and enjoyed myself.
Oh, yeah, just turn off your notifications.
Yeah, exactly.
Did somebody bring you up to Coppers, did he?
No, he didn't.
Paddy Cullivan. We had Paddy Cullivan on this show, and he's in the band, obviously, on the Late Late, and he plays in Lily's after the show every Friday night. So
he's a good man to know.
Paddy, we're still waiting on our invite to Lily's, by the way, buddy.
But there you go. There's a guy who can write music. There you go.
Get in touch with him now.
Oh, yeah, he's so industrious. I mean, he's probably the most industrious person we've come across.
Yeah.
So if you want to make it in the music business, that guy's brain to plug.
Just in terms of though, I don't want to. I hate to keep looking back, but it's just that you brought it up and you said it affected you when you realised the hate was there, and so were you protected from that while you were in prison? At least protected from that much that you weren't really aware that there was.
No, I'll tell you the truth. My character is I always like to see the hate comments because some of them actually could be true about something that maybe I don't realize. Maybe some people are pointing out things that you can change about yourself to the better or take the better out of the hate comment.
Yeah.
So I was always, as my sisters were always filtering the stuff for me and telling me, I was like, okay, definitely there is, this part that you have covered up not to show me around in prison. So I was like, no, send me what people are saying, but then it was like, okay, I would have understood if it was a bit racism, but like people were spreading rumors where it was like, he tore up his passport. I was like, You know, I was like, that doesn't even make any sense. Like, where the hell did that come from? Like, you know, it
Well,
doesn't
We know where it came from.
We kind of argued that one a little. We batted that one
No,
around.
I still to this day don't know where it came from.
I'm not even going to name.
We'll talk to you
Yeah,
after.
yeah,
I'm not even going to name.
We'll talk to you afterwards.
But yeah, so you had
so-
to. Yeah,
They took my Irish passport, they attached it to the file, normal as anyone who would be arrested outside abroad, if people don't know the system. So it's easy to talk, you know, it's easy to say stuff and just throw it out there and then, you know, just find who denies it. Like, people are saying it up to this day until, and even though I said it's nonsense, you know.
It's, to this day, there's still about 30% of Americans who think Barack Obama was born in Kenya.
Yeah, that was insane, yeah, when I heard that, yeah.
That's the same kind of mentality, though, because you can literally, we can debunk a conspiracy, but if you're a conspiracy nut, and it suits your narrative,
Yeah, exactly.
it's comfortable.
You're just going to keep pitching at it, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're preaching to an audience that wants to listen, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But some people, you're never going to win over some people, so you just got to shine them on and say,
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't give them the attention. Some people are seeking the attention. Some people are following me on Twitter but hating me as well. It's like, why are you following me? If you hate someone, you don't want anything got to do with them.
Yeah.
People are just following me because I know they're waiting for that mistake.
Yeah.
But I think
that's
too,
it.
and I think a realization, maybe for you, is they don't hate you.
Yeah.
They don't know you.
They don't.
So how can they hate what they don't know?
Exactly.
What they hate is their stereotype.
Exactly, yeah.
You're a different person.
You know, there's this famous documentary that, you know, I think it was one of the, I think it was the Journal or something that did it, and it actually knocks on haters' doors, and it went door to door. I don't know if you've seen it. It went door to door. It's such a good documentary because it went to haters' doors, and it was like a guy was hating on kids on the internet. And then he opened the door and he had a kid with him. So they were like, okay, you have a kid. Why are you hating on other kids? And he was like, yeah, I do that. That's my own decision. It's a free country. It's a free world. It's like, well, you have kids. Like, you know, relax. And people, they were just pitching at the haters, and it was very good. I think it was...
And that's again goes back to what we were saying about dragging it out into the light. You know, you can rise above it, but it's not always as simple as just rising above it. Sometimes particularly when it becomes to the point where it's inciting hatred, you know, that's when it becomes very difficult. Like you've been called a terrorist.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's
crazy. You know,
there's a few
people
things you can call people, but calling them a terrorist.
Yeah, people are like, you know, he's a terrorist. It's like people who say that still don't understand because a terrorist doesn't wait 1 month or 2 months or 3 months to do something. He wants to do it.
Okay, well,
you know,
if you were a terrorist, you were pretty stupid to get caught. Going
exactly.
To the cinema,
Yeah, exactly. You know, people are just like that. You know, if terrorists either die or kill or get killed.
What were you doing? I was going to the cinema.
But more importantly, on the whole terror, it's a badge of convenience for anybody who wants to smear someone. It's an easy, comfortable smear. It's used way too quickly in the modern context. We saw it when it was used in Dundalk recently, where the headline in the Irish Independent was jihad link to and of course it was disproven. There was no jihad link.
But that's the thing. That's what I mean. That right now, everyone, if they remember the Dundalk incident, they will say it was a terrorist attack because as long as you bring out the rumor, no one.
Yeah, they read the headline.
By the time you try to deny it and try to say it was false, and people don't believe you.
And they get the story out first, and then they get the facts out later.
Exactly. So it was absurd, you know. And people were like, "Oh, there's a jihadi. There's Ibrahim's link. Oh, there's that."
Yeah, I'm gonna go on the record here and say that which I thought was very funny, where people talked about links to the Muslim Brotherhood and links to. First of all, at the time, there were the evolution of Muslim Brotherhood from Kutub all the way along, right? There's a much longer story there that people just think Muslim Brotherhood and they want to just shout. They don't understand the nuances of these things. But as Irish people, which is very funny, you don't have to scratch the surface or go back very long to turn around and say, if you talk to someone such and such family, they have links to paramilitaries. We have an awful cheek to turn around and think that just because that in a family tree there are links, because I can guarantee you, if you throw out a net out in any family that are Irish,
that's absolutely true.
That you're going to find paramilitary links, because that's just how the world is. Not everybody.
Well, I mean, my family being, you know, part English, part Irish.
Yeah.
There's links on both sides going back generations.
Well, just it's crazy as well because look, I'm not saying I'm always saying that the Brotherhood were politically elected by the people of Egypt. Like people of Egypt politically chose them. So if the people of Egypt considered them as terrorists, they still chose them. If people of Egypt, it was their choice in the end of the day. Trump decided that he was going to call out on the Muslim Brotherhood as being terrorists. He couldn't move on with that with that call because there was no proof with that. But as long as I said, like the dog thing, people are terrorists. At the end of the day, people start pitching behind them and saying, "Oh, they are terrorists," and they start fighting them. But it wasn't my case and it wasn't my cause. The Muslim Brotherhood, you can get a Muslim Brotherhood member to sit down and debate about who they are and what's their perspectives. But I was on a humanitarian case and a humanitarian basis where I had to help my friends.
So you've been back a while now, and I'm going to be really bold, kind of going to ask you any offers of marriage or anything like that?
Well, the normal haters will be like, "Oh, he's getting an arranged marriage."
Yeah.
Nah, at the moment I'm just concentrating, to be honest, with getting back stable with my life. Being who I am, and being the normal human. Of course, I have to, fall in love soon. And,
well, we'll decipher that as he's on the market, ladies. Get in there fast.
If you want to get a touch,
no
on Instagram and Snapchat.
No DM sliders.
And when he does the whole rock star thing, he'll have money too.
So pick it up from now. Lucky one. Yeah, exactly.
No, look, it's a real treat.
Pleasure to have you.
Thank you so
very
much.
Thank
you, Tony.
Honestly, man,
it's a great chat.
We want to wish you all the best in everything you do. Whatever comes next, rest assured, you've been an honour to sit down and have a chat with you. It's been great to see you come back, and it's great to see you owning it. Because when you own it, I don't think the haters have anywhere to go. They can't. You've closed all the doors to them because you're owning it. You're saying, "This is what I did. This is my story," and you're actually going to put it in a book for them. So if they can lift themselves out of beyond shouting online, maybe they'll read the book and
they will. I'm pretty sure that half of the people that will buy my book will be haters, probably.
I'm a little bit tiny. I'm proud of you as an Irishman. You have gone through something that was really difficult when you were very young. You've come back here. You look fine. You're heading off on a nice forward, and I'm proud of you as an Irish person.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it means a lot because Ireland was very special to my heart. It still is special to my heart. But I'm talking about prison. That in prison I had over me. I had the Irish flag. I was like I was the multicultural person in the cell telling them about Ireland and what it is. Yeah, so it's great to be back.
I could only imagine trying to explain to them. No, that's you say it like this, right?
Yeah, right. That's why it was like they saw someone that was English speaking and I was speaking English, and they're like, "Can you teach us English?" I was like, "Alright, so you got to talk like this first, right? And then you got to say the accent around and talk about it like this, and then they're like, "What are you saying?" I was like, "Okay, here,
and then you go hardcore. And some chunklet in his mouth.
And his beard.
Listen, folks, I think we leave it. I think that's a great note to leave it. Ibrahim, thanks so much for coming on. Thank you.
When you're in the music business and you get the book done, come back, check us out.
I will.
Bring us out for a coffee and look, I know you're very close to your mum, so best of luck to your mum and your sisters as well.
Thank you so much. I'll definitely send them.
Listen, folks, thanks for listening, and if you like what you hear, hit that subscribe button, tell friends, share the news. We have no budget, we have no money, we don't look for it, we're just out here doing the job, and we're trying to make sure that we get the word out. Thanks for listening, guys.